I'm interested in dental, having a dental office. I'm interested in people. I'm interested in building a school. I'm interested in justice. I'm interested in cooking. I'm interested, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, write it all down. Take it a minute, just whatever comes to mind. Really good. All right. Who wants to share what they wrote down? Yes.
I'm a student. I work in Shrewsbury.
Yep. Yep.
Academic advisor, student leadership, social justice, student affairs, higher education, and coordinating.
Good. And
Researcher, the first two things she said, academic advisor, sociologist, anthropologist, administrative assistant, or working for somebody.
good. Good. Good.
So it was a mentor, like actor,
Yep.
psychologist,
Yep.
spirituality, cosmology, history.
Cool. Love it. Kids.
Wow.
Sorry. The more the better.
Well, education, psychology, computer science, business, technology, politics, because of the journalism, nursing, theology.
Good. Perfect.
Investment banker.
Investment banker.
Science, skyscraper. Great philosophy. And great car.
And maybe car company. Car? Like car?
Supercar.
Supercar. Okay, cool. Who else? Rashid.
Well, I have psychology, pediatrics, medical researcher, paper, restaurant owner, physician and assistant, actress, choreographer.
Good. Perfect. Good to go. Anybody else want to share?
I said cooking, singing, event planning, and inspirational.
Inspirational speaker, event planning, cooking. Who was the first one? Singing. What was the first one? That's it. All right, cool. Awesome. All right, good. Anybody else? Rachel? Let's go. Is what is it? Children's clothing? Okay. Okay. Coach. Perfect. Yep.
Saving dogs and cats and animals.
Yep.
Dancing, education, medical, learning different languages, and also laundry, because I have a background in laundry and fashion.
Cool.
So,
Awesome. All right, cool. Anybody else?
Student leadership and development, acting, wrestling, government, laws, and education.
Good. Now, this is where things start to get a little bit interesting, right? Before we jump back up in here to your current previous experience, because the vision that I have for us today is that we're gonna lead with a roadmap of the actual brand that we want to create as people, right? We have an immense opportunity right now to build a brand. No matter what you want to do, even if you have 1,000 interests, right? I'm going to show you today how I think about building a brand in 2020 and how well it works. And you'll see how I'm going to build onto it, but for now, I want you to think about a couple of things. When you build a brand, right? And when I say build a brand, like building a brand as a student is really important, right? I have a business, right? I have employees. I've hired probably 30 people over the last 8 years, right? Guess how many times I've looked at a resume? 0. I don't care about your resume. But I will go online and look up what you've been up to on your social media. I will look up what you're up to on your LinkedIn. I will look at what you're up to on Instagram and Facebook, right? And YouTube, right?
Even if it's private?
What's that?
Even if it's private, how are you gonna work around that?
I can find your LinkedIn.
No, like Instagram.
Oh, Instagram is less important to me. LinkedIn is more important, right? So if you deactivate those platforms, then there are ways to still build a brand through different blogs and different websites. But I do think this: if you want a job, or if you want to build a business right now, using social media is extremely important. There are ways that you can do it so it doesn't consume your life. I mean, I'd be interested to know, why did you deactivate?
Oh, you want to?
Yeah, why did you deactivate them? Honestly.
Yeah, it's a kind of like moving away from society.
Yeah.
A bit focus on the
Good. So I love that. I support that. But here's the thing. I still think, and this is a conversation I'm having a lot of lately, because I actually feel like I want to go that way a little bit as well. But I still think that you can do the internal work you need to do while still building a brand online, because the people that will hire you might want to see that brand online. Right? And I think there's a way to do it that's going to feel very consistent for you about your life goals. Right? It's even just you sharing what your interests were about like truth and spirituality and all that. I think there are still ways you can use social and still go true. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of like, extrapolate the benefits or the positive.
Totally. And using social media instead of letting
Yeah.
and that's what I'm really interested in. So I'm glad that we're like having this conversation. And that's the fun of like the small group. Like that answer right there gives me really good insight into where he is right now in his process. So I can then direct the brand that he wants to build into that truth. Right? Make sense? So thanks for sharing that. All right, so building a brand on social media I think is the most important thing you can do right now. And that can look a lot of different ways. But I want to get into like how it can look for us, for this group. And before we start to do that, I want you to think about this. The best way to get the job that you want, the best way to become unforgettable, the best way to be the #1 person in your field is to build an interesting brand. Right? So here's the problem. Most people think that their brand has to be super specific. It has to only be about schools in Honduras. And if I write about anything else, it's going to freak people out that I'm too unorganized. That's so wrong. It's the wrong approach. Question?
It's just
Which
the
one?
most important thing.
The most important thing I think is to build a brand online. It's to build, is to build a brand for yourself online that can lead to you getting the job that you want, or to building the business that you want, so people know about who you are. Even as something as private as the FBI. Seriously. So here's how it works. Ready? You all shared a lot of ideas. They're great ideas. Now, What I want you to start thinking about is, how can I turn my ideas, what's living here, into something that is going to attract the things that I want, right? Jason and I know everything about each other's lives. Not everything, but I can keep up with him, and he keep up with me because of social media. But we're using the platforms in a way that's more about sharing information and sharing knowledge, and less about like what I have a hard time with social media is the people that are so vain, and it's all about just their watches and their cars and their jets and their bodies. And that for me, I don't connect with, and that for me gets exhausting, which is why I'm trying to move even further away from it. But I think there's a smart way to use it as well, right? So, but to build that in a way that feels exciting, we have to know kind of our true question.
Don't you think, or I will just an example of people that use their social media with a little bit of both of what you just said, like some people, their business and their job is based on those exotic lifestyles.
That's true.
And then some people, they are fully successful and then they have social media, not necessarily for their businesses, but just for the fun part of it, it shows the exotic lifestyle. So don't you think there's a balance in between?
I think there is, I think there is. I'm actually not referring to those, thank you for the question. I'm not referring to those people. I'm referring to people like us, that I'm not selling exotic lifestyle. Most people are putting up pictures of fancy cars and watches and yachts and planes because they want to impress her. Because they're actually insecure with their own lives and they want to get the girl or the guy. And it's not even your watch. That's the part that scares me about social media. If you actually have $1 million business and your whole thing is like, I take people on really expensive yachts and we go to the Caribbean and we have a good time, okay, if that's your truth, no problem. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the question. So, idea intersection. What I want you to do is I want you to think about all the ideas that you just wrote down. And then I want you to start to think about, we're actually going to literally just create like a piece of content today around our interests that are aligned with what we ultimately want. So let's go with you for a second, James. Tell me your things again. Tell me your things again. Slowly.
Law.
Law. Technology.
Politics. Education. Theology.
Investigative journalism.
Yeah.
And then there was one more though. No?
Yeah.
I thought there was one more after investigative journalism.
Psychology.
So let's stop there. All right, so a few years ago, I got a phone call from a friend in California. Her name's Lorena. She's a Colombian woman, and she says to me, Brian, I am so sick of my job. I cannot do another day of this job. I hate it. I'm unhappy. I'm so sick of it. And I said, well, all right. She was an administrator for a yoga studio. I said, okay, what is it that you love? Tell me some of your interests. And you're showing me. She goes, I love the beach. I'm like, who doesn't love the beach, right? I love learning and teaching about wellness, Reiki, spirituality, yoga, clean, healthy eating, right? I love going to conferences, right? And I love being at conferences and retreats, and I love being with my daughter. I'm a single mom. I love being with my daughter, but I can't go to these conferences with my daughter because they're either really expensive or they don't let kids come. So I said, come on. So what did she tell me, guys? What did you hear? She loves what? The beach.
Kids.
She loves her kid.
Yoga,
She loves yoga. She loves health and wellness.
retreat,
She loves retreats and conferences.
Right.
So she loves her kids, single mom. So in the outside world, those interests are all over the place, right? It's like, dude, you're all over the place. But here's where my mind goes. I heard that, and guess what I said to her? I said, why don't you start retreats on the beach where you teach about yoga and health and wellness and spirituality and meditation and healthy food, and you do it for women, single mothers, and their children. She now has a business doing that.
It's like a filter.
Yeah, cool, right? So that right here, guys, is the intersection of those ideas. So if I'm listening to Chance's examples, to you guys or to the outside world, Chance seems like he's all over the place. He likes politics and law and journalism and philosophy and theology and psychology and oh my God. Unless Chance uses this idea intersection idea, right? And starts thinking about like, how could you combine it? Let's hear from you guys. Yeah.
I have a quick question,
Yeah.
comment about the situation. I think it's great, but I think something that probably failed to sort of observe or mention is the fact that although everything she likes comes together to one thing and she was able to get another sort of joy from it, something we should mention is the availability of funds to do it. For instance, I have great ideas that I would want to do and all of that, and I'm pretty sure I could find my little connection
Yep.
and something to do, but then the money to do it, the funds to do that.
Well, that's true. So in her case, she just started out by, she called 5 of her friends. She said, here's where we're going. Here's how much it costs. Are you in? She covered the house that she rented. She filmed it. She started advertising it. She did it again the next month. And then the next month. The next month. Funds are important. I'm a super practical guy. And I recognize that funds are important. I think it's like there are so many of these things that I'm on play right now that cost $0 to do. It's just your time. And right now, we all, this is a young group. We all have time. Right? So let's go back to Chance's example. Like, what do you think? What could Chance, what is one thing you could do to combine these interests to create, let's say, a video or an article?
I think create my own school.
Create your own school? Okay.
We said video.
All of these things you educate on these topics and other disabilities.
Good. So, but let's check this out. Come to your top thing. What did you want to do? You wanted to be a journalist. That was the first thing you said, right? Dream job is journalism. Who might hire Chance to be a journalist?
Newspaper?
Yeah. Who else? Magazine. News
You.
station.
You.
Me. Never know. Media company. Online platform. Business thing. Forbes. I think you should go for Forbes, bro. I think that was the one that dropped. The universe is speaking to us. All right, we're gonna get a chance to go for Forbes. But if I hire Chance, if I work at Forbes, and I'm the hiring manager at Forbes, and Chance applies for a job at Forbes, what is the first thing that I'm going to care about if I think about hiring him? And how do you get experience? Or you just start doing it.
You do a blog.
You do a blog. That's right. So what we're doing today is we're actually creating the thing that people are going to see when they go to Chance's LinkedIn page.
A stepping stone.
You guys see that? The stepping stone. That's right.
So wait a minute, he doesn't have any experience.
Not yet. But,
So he's gonna just start a blog and then what?
It actually works.
and then,
Yes.
so watch this. That's a good question. And then what?
Yes.
I don't know. But that's the beauty. Because the then what is where all the magic happens. Let me give you an example.
Get a blog.
In a blog or on LinkedIn or on a Medium article. Guys, we're all one view away from having our whole lives change. I've seen it time and time. I'll give you a story. I'll tell you a story. So I'm in San Francisco and I'm at this party and I'm sitting next to this woman And I've been applying, I've been writing Forbes for like weeks. I've been sending them articles, and I've been writing this exact same strategy. I'm putting up articles on my LinkedIn about 5 things I learned from Mike Bloomberg, about all these things that I'm just living life, right? And I keep sending it to Forbes, but Forbes isn't responding to me. They're not responding to anything. So finally, I'm at this party, I'm at this event, I'm sitting with this girl, and I said to her, what do you do? And she goes, I work for Forbes. And I said, I've been trying to get a column at Forbes magazine as a freelancer for the last 2 months. No one replies to me. She's like, send it to me. Send me 3 writing samples, and I'll show them to my editor. I got a column at Forbes like a week later because I had 3 articles ready. Number 1. Number 2, watch this. Here's the then what. I started writing for Forbes, I think like 6, I published about 6 articles, doing my thing. I get a phone call. I had just moved back to New York, this was 4 years ago. I had just moved back to New York. I'm up in Harlem where I live, on 110th Street and 5th Avenue, right? And I'm walking to that Dunkin' Donuts up there on like 7th Avenue, and my phone rings, and I answer it. And I'm like, hello, and it's this lady, and she goes, hey, I just want to introduce myself. I do PR for George Clooney. And I'm like, okay, like, this is an interesting phone call. And we've been following your work on Forbes.com for about a month now, and we think you're a really unique writer. We think you have a very unique way of writing, and we want to know if you want to cover a story about George Clooney and his wife, who are doing a big celebration prize ceremony in the country of Armenia for the 100th year anniversary of the Armenian genocide. They're going to give $1 million prize to somebody that's doing humanitarian work. So check this out. There's the then what, right? But then I think to myself, and this is where I want to encourage all of you to go, it's like, just make ridiculous asks. Like, their vision was they were going to send me a press release. This is what she told me. She goes, we'll send you the press release, and if you like it, you can write a story about it. And I was like, here's what I'd like to do. I'll write the story if you pay for my flight and hotel to Europe, and I get 3 days with George Clooney. And she's like, what? She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's how I'll write the story. And she said, let me get back to you. A day later, she calls me back and she's like, approved. And I went to Europe, and I spent 3 days with George Clooney. That's the then one. Right? But here's the thing. That would have never happened if I didn't ask Forbes to let me write for them. And by the way, I wrote for them for free. They didn't pay me to write for them. And I would never have gotten the opportunity to write for them if I hadn't done the preliminary articles that were upcoming. Guys, we're living in a crazy, crazy time where you post something and literally somebody can see an article you do, Chance, and they can think it's the best article they've ever seen about like how tech and theology merge. And let's say Chance writes that article, and now all of a sudden Chance is getting a job interview at Entrepreneur Magazine because somebody saw the LinkedIn article. That's pretty cool, right? That's what I want for you guys. Like, you don't need experience to start. You just need to talk about your truth. So that's where I would go if I was Chance. Do you guys see that? That's an intersection. I would write an article about how tech and theology are the future of investigative journalism for theology. Could be an article. Could be a video that he creates. Somebody can see it. Hillsong Church says, I like it. You want to write it for us? Now you're on Hillsong Church's blog. They get 100,000 viewers a month. Now you're in front of 100,000 people that you never would have been in front of if you hadn't just taken a chance to do something. Pretty rad, right?
So when you're writing these articles, is it like every day thing, or
You do it as much as you can. I always say, sustained release of content in a sustainable way is always better than binging it all. What I mean by that is, if you can reasonably write an article a month or an article a week, I'd rather have you write one article every week for the whole year than for you to write 13 articles in the first month, and then you're so brain tired that you don't do anything else the rest of the year. Do what you can do. But here's the thing. Be honest with yourselves about what you can actually do. Because a lot of you are going to tell me, I don't have any time. That might be true, but if I actually look at your day, I guarantee you, you have more time than you think. I guarantee you, you can cut out 3 of those YouTube videos and 25 minutes of BS Instagram story scroll. And now you have that. Now you have an hour of your life back to work the article.
Those articles should be on a specific topic or
So
whatever you enjoy writing.
that's what we're doing. That's kind of you're like a step ahead of me. That's where I want to go today. I want to show you like the kinds of topics you can talk about. Make sense? So what I want you guys to do now is I want you to take literally 5 minutes. Why don't you work with the person sitting next to you, and you guys have some fun. Come up with 2 or 3 different ideas that you could write an article about, or you could create a video about with your interests. So, does that make sense? Turn to the person sitting next to you. If you don't have someone sitting next to you, then find somebody in work groups. Let's say 5 and write out a few ideas.
There's a lot I
What kind of
I did it like
now is it just
imagery, like what do you call it, like visual? Like I want to do like anthropology or how many people push it up. It's on the edge. No. Yo, y'all bro, Axe is like 6 questions within like 7 questions. Just put it there. I'll put it. That's interesting. Yo, bro. My boy, you guys have 1 question. He's like, what is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? How do you get to meaning of life? That's his.
What's your first step? So you could be.
Yeah. Like what Cam did.
Guys, real quick. I just want to make sure that was clear. The point of what you're doing right now is to look at your interests together so you can come up with just one idea of an article or a video you can create based on those interests, connecting to the thing that you want to eventually happen for yourself. Make sense?
But I could promote myself. Like I could be like. Like give it. So you're gonna have a those are all medical fields. So those are medical fields. So speed of medical fields. That's actually. How are you getting another associate? How can you have a How can you get it right there? I don't want to tell you because I saw the link. I just didn't want to tell you. Can act as your public advocates using the platform. There's a great speech that just happened was Sunday, Joaquin Phoenix used his speech time to talk about being a vegan, to talk about people treating other people dying, and the misconceptions about being a human being. And he put himself out there using your platform. Public advocacy. There you go. Look at that. This is here. Look at the
With 42 years of you were at it, I was 42 years of nursing, that's the title. And then I write the 3 biggest lessons I've learned as a nurse, and how you're going to apply those to your company. That's your research. You can probably write novels or articles about your career as a nurse. And that's all you have to do. And then just connect to things. It's transformative skills. That's right. So you're a manager. Yes.
How about her life experience of being a mental inspiration? What's your life experience? Like mental health. Give her mental health. How can you cross all these things? Acting, medical my experience. You have mental health. On my experience, I'm proud of mental health.
42 years of nursing. Company
Suicide
started.
prevention, why? Suicide prevention. Yeah.
And then that's like part of the secret about that. That's the for you and for everyone.
He's like, can I take a picture? Put up my backpack. It's not your legs. Take a tag off your leg. I definitely took a picture of you. Serious, like, I like to look at you.
Guys, take about 2 more minutes. Take about 2 more minutes. All right, guys, wrap up this exercise.
It's not the place for that. I'm just saying, it's not the place for that. I was shot at to catch your slip rope.
Not safe for work. Not safe for work.
could just put someone in front of
What do you think
I
you
don't-
like? You know what?
Okay, what you come on?
The last one.
What kind of video did talk about my research? I kind of left the mention while I was working on it.
All right. Good job, good job, good job, good job. How did it go? Good idea. Person, yeah. See, you know, guys, she's literally
I gave you the idea of mental
while
health.
cooking and setting up the table to show that she can do like event setups. Relax. All right, guys, couple things. Guys, couple things. I know I like the excitement, but let's come back and do it. Couple things. Tell me your name again. Marlene. Marlene. All right. So Marlene had a couple questions that I thought were really interesting that I think will help a lot with the group. Marlene said, "All I know about is nursing. How can I talk about nursing if I'm going to start a bakery?" And I said, "Well, the first article that I would write, or the first video that I would do if I was Marlene, would be called something like." How 42 years of nursing helped me start a bakery.
That will catch you. People look at it.
People be like, what is she going to talk about? Now, there's a couple things that I wanted to mention about this. Number one, when we think about creating content, right? It's kind of like what I was alluding to with my friend that was talking about the jets and stuff. The best way to create content that you feel good about is that it's honest. Like, I'm not telling any of you to make stuff up. I don't want you to make stuff up. You're vulnerable if you start to make stuff up. I want you to talk about your truth right now. What, coming from the Dominican Republic, how being Dominican has given me an advantage in New York City. That's good. So here's what happens when I start talking about